Zarac had ruled the Void Stalkers for 300 cycles, and in all that time, no species had puzzled him more than the humans. These strange bipedal creatures from Terra had spread across the galaxy with alarming speed, establishing colonies on worlds that should have been uninhabitable. What made them even more perplexing was their apparent weakness. No natural weapons, fragile bodies, and reflexes slower than most prey species. Yet somehow they had managed to survive encounters with predators that had wiped out civilizations, far more advanced than theirs. The Alpha's massive form coiled in the shadows of his command vessel as it studied the latest reports. His species, the Void Stalkers, were apex predators by any measure. Standing 12th tall with obsidian carapaces and razor-sharp talons, they had hunted across 1,000 worlds. Their young were born with killing instincts that put mastodont predators to shame. But the humans continued to elude them, and Zarac's patience was wearing thin. Lord Alpha hissed his Lieutenant Kextar. The human colony on Kepler 442b shows no signs of evacuation despite our proximity warnings. They seem unaware of the danger. Zarac's 4 eyes narrowed. This particular colony was small, perhaps 2,000 humans scattered across a forested continent. It would be child's play to eliminate them. But something nagged at the Alpha. Every time they had engaged humans directly, the creatures had displayed behavior patterns that defied all predator-prey logic. An idea began to form in his ancient mind. "Kextar," he rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "Prepare the nursery pods." His lieutenant's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Lord Alpha, we will conduct a test. Take 3 of our youngest cubs, barely past their first mole. We will leave them on the planet's surface near the human settlement." Zarac's eyes gleamed with predatory intelligence. "I want to see how these humans react when faced with our young." Within hours, the operation was underway. 3. Void Stalker cubs, each the size of a large earth wolf, but infinitely more dangerous, were deposited in a clearing 2 kilometers from the human settlement of New Haven. The cubs were old enough to survive on their own, but young enough to trigger the protective instincts of any species that encountered them. Zarac settled in to observe from orbit, confident that the test would finally reveal the true nature of humanity. Either they would flee in terror from even juvenile predators, proving themselves to be cowards, or they would attempt to kill the cubs, revealing their hidden aggressive nature. He never expected what actually happened. Dr. Sarah Chen was the first to spot the creatures during her morning botanical survey. The xenobiologist had been cataloging the local flora when she stumbled upon the 3 obsidian forms huddled together in the clearing. Her breath caught. She recognized them immediately from the colony's threat assessment files. Void Stalker young. Any rational person would have run. Any survival-oriented species would have called for immediate evacuation. Instead, Sarah found herself crouching down, studying the cubs more closely. They were injured, cuts and scrapes marred, their dark carapaces, and one appeared to be favoring its left forelimb. More importantly, they looked lost. "Base! This is Chen," she whispered into her calm. "I need a medic team and some of our wildlife specialists at Grid Reference Alpha 77. Sarah, what's your situation?" came the concerned voice of Colony Director Marcus Webb. "We have 3 juvenile Void Stalkers. They appear to be abandoned and injured. The silence on the calm lasted for several heartbeats. Sarah, you need to get out of there immediately. Those things are their babies, Marcus." Sarah's voice was firm, and their hurt. What followed would bear remembered as either the greatest act of human stupidity or the most profound display of compassion in galactic history. Within an hour, a full response team had assembled in the clearing. Dr. James Morrison, the colony's veterinarian, worked alongside xenobiologist Dr. Yuki Tanaka to assess the cubs' injuries while a security team maintained a perimeter. "This doesn't make sense," Morrison muttered as he carefully cleaned a wound on the largest cub's shoulder. The creature lay still, watching him with luminous purple eyes but showing no signs of aggression. "These are apex predators. They should be trying to kill us." "Maybe that's the point," suggested Tanaka. "Look at their body language. They're exhibiting classic juvenile distress signals. Huddling together, reduced movement, increased vocalization. They're scared." Aboard his command vessel, Zarac watched in growing bewilderment as the humans not only failed to flee or attack, but began caring for his cubs. They constructed a temporary shelter, provided food and water, and even assigned rotating shifts to monitor the young predator's health. "This is impossible," he growled to Sexar. "They should be screaming in terror or preparing weapons. Instead, they're nurturing them." The situation became even more incomprehensible over the following days. The humans had moved the cubs to their medical facility where they received round-the-clock care. Children from the colony visited regularly, bringing drawings and small gifts. The cubs, responding to this unprecedented kindness, began to show behaviors Zarac had never witnessed in his species: play, curiosity, and something that resembled affection. On the 5th day, everything changed. Dr. Chen was monitoring the cubs when her equipment detected the massive energy signature descending from orbit. "This is it," she told her colleagues grimly. "The adult Void Stalkers are coming." The colonists could have used the cubs as hostages or shields. They could have fled to their emergency bunkers. Instead, they did something that would reshape interspecies relations for centuries to come. They formed a protective circle around the cubs. As Zarac's shuttle touched down in the colony's central square, he was met not by cowering prey or desperate warriors, but by a calm assembly of humans standing between him and his Jung. Sarah Chen stepped forward, her small form dwarfed by the Alpha's imposing presence. "Your cubs are safe," she said simply. "They were injured and alone. We've cared for them." Zarac's 4 eyes fixed on the human female. In his centuries of existence, he had encountered countless species. Some fought, some fled, some tried to bargain. None had ever voluntarily protected his offspring. "You cared for my young?" His voice was barely above a whisper. "Of course we did. They're children." Sarah's response was matter of fact, as if protecting the offspring of a species known for hunting humans was the most natural thing in the universe. Behind the line of humans, Zarac could see his cubs. They looked healthy, well-fed, and were making soft chirping sounds he had never heard before. One of them, the smallest, was wearing what appeared to be a small decorative collar made of local flowers. For the first time in 300 years, the alpha of the Void Stalkers felt something other than the predator's hunger. It was a sensation he couldn't name, a warmth that spread through his chest as he watched his youngest cub playfully pounce on a human child's offered toy. "I do not understand your species," Zarac admitted. His massive form somehow seeming less threatening. Ashe settled into a crouch. "I left my cubs here expecting you to reveal your true nature, cowardice, or hidden savagery. Instead, you have shown me something I thought impossible." Sarah smiled. "We showed you who we really are. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose kindness over fear." The Alpha was quiet for a long moment, processing this revelation. When Heffinally spoke, his words would echo across the galaxy. "I came here to test your worthiness, Asprey. Instead, I have discovered your worthiness as something else entirely. Within months, the Void Stalker fleet had established permanent peaceful contact with human space. Zarac's cubs became the first of their species to grow up understanding that strength could come in many forms, that sometimes the mightiest predators were those who chose not to hunt, and in a galaxy where survival often meant becoming the most feared, predator humanity had achieved something far more remarkable. They had transformed their greatest enemy into their most devoted protector simply by showing kindness to children who weren't even their own. The result indeed had changed everything.